You are now rolling with the More Over 4 podcast with JT Pender and DJ Clinton Tarantino. Presented by...
What's good, everybody? You're with the More Over 4 podcast. I'm JT Pender.
And this is Clinton Tarantino.
Hell yeah. We're here. We're going to talk about some new things on episode 4. We're going to talk about AI and how it's affecting the music business and creators like y'all that are listening and ourselves. We're going to hit back again on some of the things going on with the artist-centric Universal Music, Deezer scenario. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing we want to look at on this episode is how we can use tools and AI to benefit us as music producers, right? Mm-hmm. So we have three things we're looking at. We got FADR, Moises AI, and then Voicify. 3 that I've used. You haven't really touched on too much personally in your projects, but we've gone through some things in the studio here, so we have some stuff set up. The first thing was, Clint, something that you shared was this Nashville. There's a lot of regulation going on.
Yeah, with the landscape of the music industry rapidly shifting and evolving, and regulations and controls also ever evolving.
This is something you sent over today before we started.
Right. This came out just like 6 hours ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Tennessee, first in the nation to address AI impact on the music industry. I read a little bit about it, but tell me, what did you take from the news? It sounds like there's a bunch of politicians involved.
It's going to get political, but essentially what they're saying is that they want to work to protect Tennessee musicians' original art.
So this is just AI just for Tennessee,
for using their likeness to generate income,
right.
And I don't know how this is gonna work out in the long term, because I think honestly it's gonna create more of a cloud of confusion over what's already a confusing landscape,
right,
in the music industry with implementing AI and how we're able to legally use it. I mean, putting legislation in is just going to add an extra layer of,
It's an interesting thing because you also have, it makes me nervous. If you haven't taken from the first 3 episodes, I get really nervous when it comes to the politics of this and the proposal that there's all these laws that we need to protect us. Other countries are taxing streaming as a separate revenue, for instance. And it's like, the idea is that it helps us as musicians or goes into a pot. And there's a few things that I'm especially concerned with AI and the likeness, which we'll talk about. FADR, Moises does voice swapping as well, but with AI, people are able to use a voice model, swap out your voice and make it sound like somebody else's that's modeled on something. I'm sure everybody's heard about this now. And the record labels are super nervous about this, because if you can take Drake's voice and make a new song and remix it and then say it's Drake AI or whatever, it's like you're replacing that person that they put so much money into promoting and all this effort into promoting. So there definitely is an intellectual property issue. These services, you can do these voice modeling and voice swaps. So this law in Tennessee, it's called the Ensuring Likeness, Voice and Image Security Act, or Elvis Act. The Elvis Act. Yeah. And for y'all that if you don't know, if you're not from the U.S., Nashville is as an epicenter of music business culture. I will say it's country music as well, but that's what it's known for. But now it's just everything. It's
even Taylor Swift came out of Nashville, didn't she?
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's everything. Even the business. You have the MLC is based in Nashville. You have everything is coming out of Nashville now. It seems like
totally. Well, it's one of the big hubs between Nashville and LA.
Yes, and what Atlanta was is still in some ways to hip hop, Nashville is like that to the music business and country music. So, so this law is the first in the country to introduce this. The specifics of it are interesting because it's here's the quote from the Nashville Songwriters Association. The emergence of generative artificial intelligence, AI, resulted in fake recordings that are not authorized by the artist and is wrong, period. I'm going to stop there real quick. Fake recording is just a weird, untechnical take on something that's a very term. If you record something, and I'll show you something that we've done in here actually. I'll be careful about how I do it because I don't want to get, it's a single that we're dropping called Pop and Letting Them Go, and I don't want to get hit with something that later out comes out, but it did use a voice model on it for certain parts of the song. But when you say fake recording, that's kind of that is a blanket term, because if I go and record a vocal here in the studio, that's the recording. Yes. I made it. So you're taking something,
it's your own recording, but yes, you have your own source material that goes through, and you get a different end result with how it's manipulated by the program.
Right. You're modeling something. So if you model that, you still have the original recording. And it's almost like you're making a cover of that original recording with the voice model. It just makes me nervous when they use like this blanket terminology over something that's very complicated.
I think honestly, it just makes everything that much more confusing. And either, musicians are either going to make the conscious choice to use it and go and grow with the way that, the landscape is shifting. And I think the more people that are adopting it, the better off you are, because of, how everything's going to be going in the next, 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. This
because
AI,
if you're not versed in it, you're going to be left behind.
Well, whenever they're jumping into it to get ahead of it, and when the labels are doing that, I always question if it's for our best interest. When Spotify, we can go way back, when LimeWire or Napster, when those sharing services from back in the day were taking over, the labels, obviously, rightly so, were the major labels especially were very nervous because all this music's getting bootleg and,
Well, and then even during that time, it was CD burning.
See, right. All
and
of these things
streams,
that are a threat to sales, to profit. And now we have this streaming model that comes out of that with Spotify. And when Spotify started, a lot of people think, Spotify just started and they had all this music and then they paid. No, it was such a behemoth of a thing that I think they ran into when they started with licensing, with basically getting leveraged by the record labels before they went public, and having record labels share interest in their shares as a company. It's a very complicated thing, intellectual property is. So when you read these articles and these associations, the Recording Academy, the Nashville Songwriters Association International, first of all these, and then you have these politicians who don't know shit about anything. They're just there making statements based off of the consultations with these associations, who are also, if I'm going to say this, and I don't give a shit if I'm burning bridges, a lot of these associations, I've been an ASCAP member for 20 years. There's no way I could ever touch, you mentioned Taylor Swift, there's no way I could ever touch that type of blanket coverage as Taylor Swift did. So a lot of this stuff inherently benefits only the majors.
Yes.
And if you're not signed, these laws end up. So when you're consulting with these associations and they're saying they're protecting us, are they protecting me, or are they protecting Taylor Swift and the record labels or whoever else? So a lot of this stuff makes me nervous, but the biggest thing is I personally agree.
Well, it's essentially how big of a player are you in the game,
Right.
Yeah.
When publishing started, when you had copyright law and all these things that started, they missed some things, and there was loopholes. Like people were using James Brown because there was a loophole of any artists that were before, I think it was like 78 or 75. So they had to amend that. But it was such a complicated thing because they made a difference between like a recording, a master, and the songwriting and the different uses in a cover. And it is very complicated. So, we have this thing where AI has been pushed, and now we're looking at like the oversimplification. Oh, it's AI. And if it's AI generated and it's a noise track, And that makes me nervous. It makes me nervous because you've just compounded all these different uses of AI that, like some that we're going to go over today, and you just said, this is an AI track, this is theft, this is a noise track, this
right?
is, this is a wind. Okay,
we have so much confusion,
right?
And there's so much noise in this whole AI space, and essentially they're making everybody so confused nobody really knows what AI is,
right? And it's set from the industry. It's set from the major labels really dictate this, and there's a reason why there's a big push right now for this, and it isn't just for protection.
And they're making it confusing for their own benefit,
right?
So yeah, the best way to view it is to break it down and see how how it could benefit us, and how it could also benefit the the labels. They're looking at it as just a major threat, and they want to just take it down.
Right. Just like anything else. How can we use this to our own benefit? What tools can we use? And
but the other thing is where is the future if you start to release songs with AI right now? It's okay. Mm-hmm. How is it going to be in the future? Is everything just going to get pulled down?
Right. And so we had this conversation too. I think it was last month. We talked about what's AI, because AI is being misused a lot. When I think of artificial intelligence, when I think of AI, I think of like a sentient thinking being, like something that's been created and you just let it go and it grows and grows and grows on its own. And now everybody's saying, this is AI, this is AI. I'm separating stems using AI. Well, that's an algorithm.
It's a very loose term.
Yeah, you're separating your stems, you're doing these things. That's not AI. That's not a being that's thinking and boing. That's just an algorithm like anything else. You know, we never would have called Google search AI before.
It could gather the data that it's known to be able to interpret and spit out in whatever fashion that it's assigned to.
It's being fed data. So it already made me suspicious, when they were saying AI. There's huge push, like out of nowhere. A lot of the stuff has been there. But this huge push and this blanket term for AI started to make me nervous, because it's like, okay, why are we calling everything AI when that used to just be a program? That used to be an algorithm. Just because it's learning. So if you're in your DAW, if you're in Logic or Ableton, and you're using something like Riffer, or something that randomizes something that listens. Your DAW can listens to notes. You can put audio in it, and it'll make MIDI.
I mean, when we were first developing all this AI stuff for music, it used to be just more basic stuff,
right?
Where it was just like an arpeggiator.
Yeah.
Like Cthulhu.
What are you calling AI?
Steve Duda Xfer, or what else? Riffer from Audio Modern, or who else has done AI? A lot of those. But I mean, just generally, that was what a synthesizer would do.
It was a program
right out the box.
Yeah.
But you just fed it, one key, and then it would spit out chords or something.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because there's also, so you have a loose term on what AI music is. You have a loose term on what AI is, and now we're all kind of waiting to see what the politicians do, and they always go with the experts or the industry panels, and these, so it's never the guy that's in his bedroom making beats that's they're gonna, hey, we're doing open forum. There's no Facebook group that I know of where you've been offered to go and talk to the politicians about. No. So money's being moved, moves are being made, just like everything else. Game Runners related. So I don't know. Y'all take a look at it. It's the Ensuring Likeness, Voice, and Image Security Act, the Elvis Act, because they always got to put in some acronym. Yeah. And leading the way, I guess they're super proud of it. I don't know. Like I said, it's everything's up in the air with it.
And then not only do we have that Spotify AI, right?
Yeah, there's so linked to that in our discussions about AI. We can go back, because I love to go back and look. If you look at our episodes, you can go and you can almost see this like linear approach to what's been happening, right? Because we'll have our conspiracy theories on episode 1, and oh man, they're true by episode 3, right? And it's like logic. So this is ZDNet.
Won't remove AI generated content as it rolls out some of its own Spotify.
Yeah. So this was September. And this is actually before the streaming threshold that we talked about in the last episode, of which their goal was to remove noise tracks.
So what are they talking about? AI generated content. So what is their own? Are they talking about like more of their AI, programs within the app? Mm-hmm. I mean, because that's essentially all the app does, is that it features all. I mean, that's the selling point of Spotify, is their algorithms.
Right. So in this case, I think that they've maybe left it up to the distributors to determine what their policies are in accepting things, which always has been like if there's an infringement issue or whatever. But I think Spotify, honestly, has been supporting more of a creative landscape in this scenario of allowing not making such strict rules.
Yes.
But this it is saying here in the quote is that artificial intelligence in the world of music is something that's going to be debated for a long time. But in this interview, they're talking about like Elvis singing Sir Mix-a-Lot's "Baby Got Back." I mean, this is pretty. Right. These type of things are kind of clear because obviously you have the issue with the voice modeling of it. If you went and did another song and did "Baby Got Back" and kept it similar, that'd be like a cover song. That's not a remix. You're allowed to do that, and then someone like the MLC would collect the royalties for the labels on that. So that's kind of a different scenario. But they're saying that songs that impersonate someone without their consent will be pulled. But the middle ground, where songs may just be inspired by an artist without actually claiming to be them, they'll keep. So I have seen it, and I'm sure a lot of people out there have seen it, where an artist they'll create a page and they'll say, this is AI Kanye. This is AI Tupac. Right?
There's a lot of those coming out.
And so this is September, they weren't pulling that type of stuff.
Interesting.
And so, because you're clearly saying that,
yes, it's not them.
But at the same time, if there is new laws that say anything that sounds like this, well, how do you do where someone like Ari Spears is the first guy I can think of, Ari Spears, where he can imitate like Jay-Z perfectly. Yeah. They can imitate artists. He forever, if fair use, he would have been able to imitate Jay-Z,
right?
Or Weird Al,
impersonations.
Weird Al doing
right. All of his albums.
Right. So it's a weird
covers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird environment we're in where
everything's clamping down.
Yeah,
in no matter what direction.
Right. But it was normal. Like before the pandemic, barely talked about AI. When we thought about AI, I was thinking like iRobot. Robots are coming around, or Terminator. You know,
the first thing that got unleashed on us was ChatGPT.
Yes,
and then that really brought AI into like context into the main media.
There was definitely a huge marketing push.
Yeah,
an algorithmic push on the social platforms when
and then once that hit, everything else followed.
Yes, you had the Drake AI song, a Weeknd AI song, and a Kanye AI song, but there was other stuff going on. But the thing is that these caught so much steam, it almost makes you wonder who was behind the push. Because I mean, if we released an AI song, we wouldn't get that same push and get millions of views even early.
But like you said, it's funny because after all the, traction AI itself got, is it everything just getting labeled as AI?
Right.
Just to get the same push?
Right.
Because like we're saying, it's such a loose term.
Yeah. It's confusing.
It's so dang confusing.
So basically we start our episode off with we're confused. If you're confused about the laws and the things that are changing, we're confused too. And feel free to leave us, DM us or leave us a
chime
message.
We'll share them. We'll go over all our thoughts.
Yes. So the AI thing, we're going to go over that today. We're going to go into some of the tools. I'm going to look at those. And we're also going to look at one more thing.
Yeah, I think the best way to, kind of figure it out is by actually showing.
Yes. And like I said, I use this on
what
the
these
next
programs
single
are.
So I can see the power of it. So and the other thing is that the Universal Deezer deals moving forward. I would love to hear what people out there, if they've looked at the artist-centric model. I think we're going to touch on that very soon on a future episode. But we have where Universal and Deezer are coming together to really build this this new. I would like to say it's a new music platform. Right now, it just seems like it's just Deezer and Universal agreeing on how to pay royalties. But that's also going to affect us.
Universal is advocating for this system to be implemented broader, but they're kickstarting it in a really, fond partnership that they have with Deezer.
For sure.
So they're really, really happy to make this push. And for what I see of it, it doesn't look good for the little fish in the pond.
No, yeah, we'd like to break down that a little more and what that looks like, and you can break it down per how their pool is. But it's this, the reason I bring this up now is it's the same situation where it's not just artist centric, it's that they've set thresholds. So you have to have 500 listeners a month now for this, and you get into this tier. And if you get this many, and all these things.
I mean, it just sounds like a pyramid scheme, doesn't it?
It does. And it's this is benefiting, once again, this is to benefit the artist. And it's like,
what a pitch.
You're right. When you're talking about label artists, you're really talking about the labels.
Right. Because it's a pyramid scheme. You have to get under them.
Yes.
In their ballpark to be able to be picked up by them.
Yes. And the difference between Deezer and Spotify is I personally like Spotify's algorithm and how you can use it to discover music. I personally, if I'm not, we'll take a look hopefully together on this and cover it in a future episode. But if I don't like Deezer's system, there's no way I'll distribute my music on there. And I don't think it's just not enough. It's just not, I don't care about that. I'd rather direct people to Spotify. And
where you're actually going to be able to be heard and, have your music sustained and, hopefully, grow more of a listener base.
Yes. So we'll see. We'll break down the math and see that. But that's something to take into consideration too, because it's all related to the AI, to the what they're calling deep fakes on some of this stuff. It's related to intellectual property and AI remixes and Lucien Grange, Universal making this push, which is changing the whole business. Really, I mean, such a powerful figure, an influential figure. And so this is all related, and this is kind of a radical time for us as musicians. It's just as radical as when Spotify came out. I mean, and they allowed all the distributors to distribute their music. So
that was like when they were like the major option to like as an alternate SoundCloud.
Yes,
when they first came out.
Yes.
And then it turned into something that's completely different than SoundCloud.
Right. And I think I don't like the royalty payouts for Spotify. Oh. But when seeing what they're dealing with.
And not only mentioning SoundCloud, did you see that they just went up for sale?
Yes.
That like they meant $1 billion. They put a price tag on it.
$1 billion.
Yeah. Isn't that
Artists
crazy?
make barely anything on it, and the platform's worth $1 billion. That's amazing.
I feel like it's kind of a dying platform if I want just to be honest.
Yeah, it used to be very, very fresh.
It was
going on.
fresh and thriving, and now it's grown. I think a lot of people outgrew it, but I mean, I still use it.
Right.
But yeah, not in the way that it used to be used. The quality, everything about SoundCloud, it's kind of gone downhill, and with the the pro plan, I feel like they should offer the, listening plan with that.
So they don't
combine it.
Oh, okay.
So you have to upgrade to a pro listener plan to be able to get, or Go Unlimited is what that plan is called.
And that's where you can listen to, and all the artists get paid out of a pool of money. Is that
right? They have the Go content tracks, and then you also get higher quality audio files.
Right.
So it's like $320 on your Go plan.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's not included on a pro subscriber plan, which is just ridiculous. Honestly.
Yeah, the things like Reverb Nation, you remember them? And SoundCloud were really big when it was really hard to get a website up and share your music.
Right.
Spotify didn't even have all the widgets. It was like really tough to like get someone onto your site. I mean, other than MySpace, which was like the Wild Wild West way back, but those things were big because you could take a widget, put it on your page, and then they could go to the page and stream, and you weren't, using your website's bandwidth.
You were hosting.
Right. But now the game is so different, and technology's everything. So I'm gonna have to agree. I feel like, at the risk of burning more bridges, I feel like SoundCloud's kind of a dead thing. Reverb Nation's definitely a dead thing to me. And they tried to move in the music distribution, but and that type of thing. But I just,
Reverb Nation is not what it once was.
Right. Yeah.
It's definitely for some reason it just feels like a ghost town on there.
Yeah, I agree. So what we're left with is Spotify as the big dog, and obviously got Apple Music in there as well, Deezer in other countries, but Spotify isn't a bad default. Obviously, there's some things we're nervous about with royalties, but they seem to be pretty open to accepting creative content, and that leads us into some of the AI tools that we can use on the positive side of things. And there's, like I said earlier, there's 3 tools that I have been putting to use and testing over the last couple of months that are labeled AI. That is FADR, Voicify, and Moises. Now,
I'm new to all this.
So, we talked a little bit about it.
Like I said, either you get on board or you get left behind. So I'm getting on board.
So this will be my show and tell for this episode
for everyone.
I think we can start with this is on YouTube. This is Moises's channel, right? Yeah, this is their pitch. We'll start with Moises. So. My intro to it is I started using it because it was $3.99 a month, and it had the tool to separate your stems. So when we're talking about stem separation, we're talking about taking an audio file and then dropping it in, like taking your song, dropping it, or someone else's song, dropping it in, and it will separate, and it will bring out the drums. It'll bring out the vocals. It'll bring out the synthesizer or whatever else, and it will separate it into something that you can pull back into your DAW and remix or take certain things.
Well, that's something that a lot of things are doing these days.
Yes. So they're saying it's an AI thing. It is, but this is web-based, which is a different thing now, because being able to do this on the web is truly powerful. But they also have,
especially with the other AI tools that are on the web, right?
Right.
So everything's just within a browser.
Right. And so one thing that Moises and FADR have done that's pretty crazy is they both have plugins that you can use. Now, Moises, you have to pay a pro plan, which is like $30 a month. FADR, I think, is like $10 a month, but it's an amazing set of features, and I really like their interface. But I'll just start off. What is this? 42 seconds. I'll play Moises's their pitch, and you can just watch that.
Let's check it out.
Forget about me and you. Things we used to do, it's all in the past now. I do it. The music, I feel it in my soul, yeah. Nothing else can move me like it does. It's out of my control. I do it for the music.
All right, so that's their little trailer.
I see. So it's an app on your phone. Well, yes. I mean, the convenience of this is quite a good selling point.
Yeah. So you can. The thing about it is that's kind of cool is you can have it on your phone.
You could either use it on your browser or on your phone. I mean, that's pretty cool because I mean. Right now, it's very popular. Even Serato just came out with its own AI stems isolation, you know. Right. So they have their own software, but it's not a browser. But the big thing is if you're going to be using a browser program like that, which is not that new of a concept, but really what it comes down to is the quality of this separated stems, because I mean for many years we've been able to do this, but it's never given good results.
Right.
You know?
Right. I'm trying to think of.
That's why I've always been weary of using this kind of stuff up until the last, like, I don't know, maybe couple years.
Right.
And now it's gotten really, really good. The AI the algorithms that are interpreting the stem separation is getting better and better.
Trying to think of the actual plugins you'd use to try to do something like that. I know Logic has some where you can actually pull in audio and it will find the tempo and separate certain things, or it will take the MIDI notes from a stem.
Yeah.
You can try to, but it was never very accurate for me. It wasn't something I can do.
Ableton has that too, right? Where it can pick up grooves, it can convert audio to MIDI.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yes, the interpretation is always loose.
Right. So let's look at Moises AI and see some of the pros and cons of this thing and how it works.
Mm-hmm.
The workflow for Moises this is the web interface. So they do have a plugin that's available, and they talk about it, but it requires their pro plan, which is $29.99 a month. And when you look at the features for Fader, I'll be honest with you, I don't need a lyric writer. The voice studio is kind of interesting to me because it sounds like it's legit on everything I've seen, but there's also revoice for Fader too. But they do have stems, so you can put that into your DAW. Fader can also do that, and that allows you to separate stuff right in your DAW and then create the stems and drop them in. So that's a pretty powerful feature. But
and by the way, we're not getting paid by any of these.
we're not getting paid by any of them, and one of the problems is that I have never used Moises Pro. I started when it didn't have those other features, so I'm basing it off of some of the things I've looked at. So here's an example here. Let's go in here and let's go into the track separation feature. And you can see here that this is Dr. Dre the Watcher. I just did this to see how it would work. And what's crazy is you see it has the vocals. I'm going to mute that. I'm just going to, I got to.
What is The Watcher?
The Watcher is a song off of Chronic 2001.
Okay.
So anybody that knows the drums, okay. So
the strangest things can happen from rapping when niggas get wrapped up in image and acting.
So you can
Niggas
literally,
get capped up and wrapped in plastic.
it's pretty good.
Pull off the vocals real quick and hit the drums and bass by itself.
Yeah, so
Those drums sound a little grainy and clip, but
yeah, so I'm not sure if this is ripped off of MP3 or not, but I do know that the pulls from a lot of this stuff, if you really listen, like hopefully our audio quality is good enough to hear on this, but if you really listen, you can hear that there's almost some type of like, it's almost like an MP3 file,
Yeah.
right? Like that's like at 96.
yeah,
it's like
low bit rate.
Right, but that's kind of a standard thing right now, and I think that's going to
Yeah.
change as the technology changes. But you hear this is supposed to be drums, and you can hear that there's some piano in there
Well,
too.
the thing is the source content always generates, varying results.
Right.
You never know what you're going to get out of these programs yet. And sometimes, I've used so far the one that I've used is Serato Studio, and that I've got varying results, but I've seen very impressive results with what I've put into it.
Yeah, they are actually probably on the front line of some of this stuff, actually.
Yeah.
So I got to be careful about playing this whole track together because I don't know about fingerprinting and stuff online and causing copyright issues. But in terms of this, you can hear that it's separating some of the different tracks, and I've done it to some of my own here.
Let's play
Here's
Doughboy.
Doughboy. And this is just a 3. This is earlier Moises, but same thing. So I got my mind on my money and my money in my mind. So this is just the vocals. I got my mind on my money. I'm just isolating it so you can hear it, but let's hear
And
the.
it
we'll listen to the
didn't
whole track.
do. It didn't do. Oh.
Yeah, it didn't
Smart
do.
metronome. It didn't do drums.
No.
Isolated. Oh, you could change it to 4 tracks, huh?
Yeah, so you can change the settings depending on.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there's still some vocal artifacts in there you can hear,
Yeah.
and it's going to degrade the beat quite a bit. Now, in all fairness to Moises, this is not a quality comparison right now because some of these tracks I did earlier, and they're not. I'm sure some of their technology has changed.
Algorithm is today. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these I was testing and doing just like different vocals. I don't even doing a beatbox. Can you do a beatbox, for instance? This would be a prime example of the tool. So if you do a beatbox in it like I do with my song ideas, and you do like the bass and all that, it was kind of impressive to see like, okay, so if I mute the vocals, it's calling that the bass, but it's kind of interesting because it does let you separate even your beatbox. See, this is
pretty cool. No.
So
yeah, that's a useful instance. There,
yeah, so
for sure.
this would be like
A useful creative instance.
see, and I'm actually singing on it, like, so this would be like a voice note, which I would like do into my phone and have this idea, and so this was, a way you could find the tempo, find the chord,
Yeah.
using Moises to do that.
Find the note.
You could hear. so you could get the tempo from that. That's a kind of a weird thing, but that's just like a riff
Right.
that you could do. I don't know what this other riff is.
Well,
I
you could
honestly haven't
easily
listened to
turn
this since
that
I
into
started. So
to a
what is
beat.
this here?
You know how we do it.
Let's see.
Oh, that's a cool sample right there, actually.
So you can
the drums.
Take out the.
Isolate the drums there. That sounds cool.
Yeah. So it's got some uses. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a prime example of where AI has nothing to do with revoicing, has nothing to do with stealing.
No.
You can use this as a producer. You can separate your own beatbox
Right.
and
You can
get the
create
idea from it.
original samples.
Yeah, and so we're not looking at Moises. They're revoicing today, unfortunately. But we don't. It's like we're not that organized to where we're reaching out and asking for trials or whatever else to do this. So we're just straight up winging it on some of these. But they do have that feature as well. So you could actually take some of this stuff, separate stems, and make a song from it, or take a beatbox is one of the examples that I would say you could use it. But there is also other things, and I can show you what I've done in using FADR. So FADR is also another one that has AI remixing stems and revoice, which is in beta, but it's still good. It is in a beta mode, and that's why I also have used Voicify, because Voicify has a lot of models, voice models, and it's really really good. So we can go into that in a minute, but FADR is kind of cool because they have remix contests. You can pull stems from anything. You can take a song and remix it. You can DJ from the interface. So let me pull up an example of how it works. So if I go to stems and I want to pull up a file, so here's a, let's see, here's a verse that I did, and you can make it
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we roam. In this concrete jungle, we gon' make it our home. Every step
So
we
that's
take,
just a stem I did the flow on and made it sound like I did it in Tupac style, which for me is pretty easy because I grew up on Pac, If I go here and I go to revoice, okay.
So that's the That's the original sample, right?
Yeah, so I can take this, and now
From the East Coast to the West Coast.
if I go here and I go to Pac,
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we roam. In this concrete jungle, we gon' make it our
That's
home.
wild.
Every step we take, we pave our own road in this game of life.
Now you can hear
Watch the story
artifacts in it,
unfold.
Yeah.
Through
but-
the highs and lows, we'll still stand tall.
You could
Break-
hear the auto correcting,
Yes.
pitch correcting.
yes, and there's
Yeah.
probably pitch correcting on the vocal I did. But the thing about this is what scares the record labels, because if you
Yeah.
have someone just doing all this Pac content and then alluding to it, they're basically that in their case they are stealing it. But this is Revoice and
to the
Fader.
West Coast, we roam. In this concrete jungle,
That's a
we gon'
Tupac
make it
right
our
there.
home. Every step we take, we pave our own road in this game.
So that's a basic straight up what's kind of threatening to them, and then we have a different example here. So let me pull up.
You got Audacity up.
Yeah, let me pull this up. Yeah, Audacity. I couldn't believe that. So this is a new single that I got dropping under JT Pender, and it's called Poppin' Letting 'Em Go. It should be out this month. And if you listen on here,
You know what it is. I be poppin', letting them go.
so you hear like there's a sample on the hook.
Cause I be poppin', letting them go, letting them go, letting them go. I be poppin', letting them go.
That sample right there.
Nice.
So that sounds like a
I haven't
sentence.
heard that yet.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's just like this cut, right? And I'll
Yeah.
show you how that was done. So basically, this is a use where you can use AI. Now, I used a voice model. I thought the voice model sounded like Biggie, but it's not really like Biggie. But I wanted someone to have like kind of that Brooklyn bigger voice for that, right?
Yeah.
So the original Poppin' was something like this. Let me play this here real quick.
Pop that, pop that, pop that, pop that, pop that.
So I'm just going in acting stupid in the booth, and I'm trying to get it like really like in your face for the sample, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can hear the song there. This is actual clip from
Pop
the
that,
booth.
pop that, pop that, pop that, pop that, pop that.
And then revoiced.
Pop that, pop that, pop that.
That
So-
sounds cool.
yeah,
Sounds
so-
like you pitched it down a little
Pop
bit.
that, pop that, pop that,
Or
pop
not,
that, pop that.
you know.
Yeah, so I took the ones
Or
that sounded good
transposed
to
it.
me that it didn't have the pitch.
Pop that, pop that, pop that, pop that, pop that, pop that.
Now, that's not my voice. So what's the point of this? Well,
Right.
the tool here is that if you need another voice palette in your canvas, you ain't got no one coming through the studio that sounds like Biggie or some East Coast rap or Bismarcky or whoever.
Yeah, if you
can
want to
use
be
this.
most resourceful,
Yeah, this is, you can go in,
it's in your best
put the
interest.
stem back in, and now you got this sample that sounds like this.
Yeah,
They
that
can give
sounds
it that
dope.
sound. So there's another use for it that isn't. Well, I mean, obviously the revoice could be a problem if they're
Yeah.
using like specific voice models, but
But is it taking jobs away from people?
right, is
Yes.
it is it true theft? Right,
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
is it taking money out of somebody's pocket?
right.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of things, in different angles to look at it. But
Right.
I mean, being resourceful, I think it's great.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah. So we showed that you could do that in Fader as well. Fader will create stems. So if I go to create and I hit stems, this is the same thing as Moises. But let me see. Where's one that is similar? Oh man, I got a lot of stems in here. So here's Doughboy again. So I should be able to open this up. What's it let me do? Trying to see if yeah. So here's Doughboy. This is Fader. It separated.
I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind.
So that's the bass gone, I guess.
Major for my paper, I'm about to get mine. the sky. Watch them all fall down, then I'm back to my
You don't have a way to solo it? I mean, does the solo work? Yeah, let's do the solos.
Yeah, so that beat to me already sounds better than the Moises separation.
It does.
Oh, actually, I don't think Moises didn't separate the.
No, it only had two
so that
stems.
was
It
all
had the
one.
instrumental and the vocal on
It's
that.
not really a fair comparison.
No, but the quality of the stems too, though.
Right.
I hear quite the difference. It sounds a lot higher resolution.
It does sound different.
Yeah, it's got all the distortion in there and all those high frequencies. Got a little bit of ring in there too. Yeah, I hear a lot of
Yeah, I mean,
little fuzz, but it sounds good overall.
overall, yeah, I mean,
Really good.
for ripping a track from the audio. So here's another useful tip that I would find for those of us that have been making music for a while on different platforms, different operating systems. Your music's gone. You lost your Windows computer from 12 years ago, but you have the tracks, right? Mm-hmm. A good use of this is, say you have to go perform live, like the homie Concrete reached out to me a while ago, and he said, man, the best thing that I had told him years ago was that don't perform with your vocals in the background. Perform the instrumentals, figure out a way to perform. It's just more authentic. I still stand by that. But there's a lot of music I haven't performed because I've literally lost, when I was making music on Windows, I've lost 2,000-3,000 songs at least. So you can separate these stems so that you can perform them. So you could take out your vocals. It's not perfect, but you could separate them and then remaster them or remix them, and then make it sound better. So you could pull these stems, even though the quality isn't that great on some of them, and then pull them back into your DAW. Now use Ozone or something, a mastering suite, or your plugins, and fix it using even more AI tools or whatever to fix it. And now you have a stage version of that song that you lost, from years ago. So that's just yet another tool, another way you could use it. So, I mean, it showed on these cheesy beatboxes or voice notes, bringing it in to separate stems. That's a use. You got renewing old stuff, taking vocals out to go back on your old stuff. That's another use. That's really cool to me, honestly. And then what was the other one we did? The revoicing for samples.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The Biggie sounding sample, or the
on Fader?
That was on Fader. So we have all those things on Fader right now. Obviously, in that I kind of prefer that. You can do them on Moises, and especially on their pro package, I guess. I can't vouch for it yet, but that leads to the voices. You were saying that some of the vocals were a little off or a little weird and stuff. And
let's go to Voicify.
And so that leads us to Voicify. This site is nuts, and I know there's quite a few like this. I mean, there's a lot. We're just picking these three because these are the ones I've used, but there is so many. I don't know how many voice models there is. Just people just make these voice models, and you can make anything sound like anything else.
Soundboards or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, so even AI Donald model. So you can take this, and you can even just drop a YouTube link in it, and it will make it sound like it will revoice that. So this is Ether. This is Nas Ether with Trump.
Fuck Shade Feet, what's up, niggas? Yo, I know you ain't talking about me, dog. What? Fuck Shade Feet, you been on my dick, nigga. You
This shit was cracking me up, to be honest. So we looked at the Watcher.
The same from gangsters, times is changing. Young niggas is aging.
I pulled that from Moises and then dropped it into this to revoice it. So you can actually do that in Moises now. It sounds like Trump is spitting the Watcher. He should do that for his campaign song.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's other things that don't work. I tried some songs that were off. I was like, I'm gonna try one that's off key, some voice notes, and but they didn't really work as well as I thought. Like, you can't make me sound like Sade if I'm not singing properly from the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't
Got to
know.
figure out your bass line for everything for it to
Yeah.
work.
This song was. This is a song just that hasn't been released, and it's just a rough draft. So I'm all over the place on the track. It's not like on key, and so to me it was like a really good example of like. But
It sounds good.
Yeah, but I mean,
sounds
the
good.
key is like you could take. This is crazy because now you can take anything and make it something else. Like if
Yeah.
you're not sure where to go, and you're like, man, I wish I had Sade on this. I wish I had Sade on this. Like.
In the studio.
Yeah, so that's
Right.
Voicify. It has a ton
that's
of
cool.
models. The pricing is pretty reasonable. I mean, it's $7.99 a month. You get like 25 credits. I think that's like 25 conversions or something. I'm not sure, but out of these
Something
three
like
tools, yeah. I mean, it's obviously you got people out here going nuts right now with this, but I guess it does custom models.
Do they
too.
have a plug-in as well?
I didn't see anything with the plugin on them, but they do
Yeah.
let you
Which
make your
one?
own voice.
Which ones? Yeah, maybe that's something to cover in a future episode for plugins.
Yeah, I know it takes a lot of power. Even using the web, you have to wait quite a bit for it. But the thing is this is another thing that I wanted to bring up. You can actually AI your own voice. So I could literally go in here and do a bunch of different takes on different wording and stuff, and then make a voice model and not actually have to go in the booth to make a song.
Oh, right.
Which is kind of crazy. Like
So you could just type to make.
you could type the song.
Right, but you're still not going to be able to get it to spit out right.
It doesn't spit. It doesn't. Listen,
No.
you know me. I'm old
it's
school.
gonna be
that I'd
monotone, right?
Yeah. But it's crazy
Then
what
you
the
can
future holds.
auto-tune it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You could actually
Right.
auto tune it and play it through if you wanted to. But
Yeah.
all these things are going to come into play now. And this is, if you haven't been checking out the AI tools, hopefully this gets you started with it. This is.
I mean, when Auto-Tune came out, it wasn't labeled AI, but
Right. Right. But you definitely.
I mean, essentially, if Auto-Tune came out nowadays,
They would say it's AI.
they'd be saying it's AI
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Everything's AI.
Everything.
But no, hopefully, I know. So I mean, so you look at, we got it's almost like a big web. We just made an action movie of a music production podcast. We got politicians, we got
Yep.
music associations, we got AI, we got CEOs that are running 30% of the world's music, and we have the tools right here.
right.
Yeah. So
This is everything full circle.
full circle on AI tools. So I just want to thank everybody that's been following us on the IG. We just started up a YouTube. It's I know, even including me, it's short attention span. So any time that you guys spend listening to us, truly grateful. And
We enjoy coming in here to make this happen, and we enjoy any and all love.
Yeah, and on the Spotify, if you go watch it, because we're trying to mainly make this a visual, but we try to make sure that you can listen to it too if you're on the road or whatever. But on Spotify, you can vote. We're putting different votes onto different stuff. Our last vote was between low air and submarine, and we're just waiting for some more votes to get a verdict on that. But please do, if you're listening on Spotify, check out the votes and the feedback, and we'll look at everything and look at what to cover. But yeah, I'm loving doing this. I'm glad we're back. 2024. By the way, Happy New Year, everyone. Can't believe we didn't start it with that.
2024, yeah.
Happy New Year.
New
Happy
Year.
AI music production New Year.
That's right.
Happy New Year to Happy Skynet music production.
AI is coming in to take your job.
They're taking her job. But
South Park.
yeah, so thank you for sharing the time with us. Clinton, you got anything else?
I think that'll do.
All right.
I think we're off to a great start this new year, though, and we have some new tools to work with.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Let's
All
make
right.
some music. Let's put some music out. Share it with us, guys. We want to see it too. All right? We're out. Peace.
Out.